Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Ada for not wanting to hide that my moms are gay to my girlfriend's parents. I'm 17 years old and have been dating my girlfriend for 7 months. We were already conversing before school went online, and I approached her about going on a date with me afterward. As a result, her parents wanted to meet up with mine when it is safe to do so and have supper at their home with them. That's okay with me, and my mums are on board as well. However, my girlfriend informed me that her parents are unaware of the fact that I have 2 mothers, and she does not want them to find out since they are not raving homophobes, but they do not like the fact that I have 2 mothers. She just said that it would make them feel strange and uncomfortable, and she requested if only one of my mothers could accompany her. No idea why I'm required to lie, but I simply don't get it. If we remain together, it is certain that they would find out, and it would also be rude to ask my mothers if one of them does not want to attend. I never felt uncomfortable or strange about it, so I don't see why it should be a big deal. My girlfriend has been enraged with me ever then, and she just instructs me to do it so that her parents aren't made uncomfortable in the process. Even my friends have said that it is not a big problem and that I will not be grounded as a result of asking my mothers to do this. As a result, I'm stuck in the middle since I don't want to lie about my mothers or omit any of them, but everyone is treating me like I'm being a jerk for not participating in this activity. Update. As a result, we decided to part ways. Because it had already been some days since we had spoken, we decided to meet yesterday. I took note of your words and decided to inquire as to how she would react if I informed her that just one of her parents may accompany her since my mothers are uncomfortable around relationships. In essence, she chuckled and said that it is not the same thing since the pair is a typical relationship. That drew my attention, and I inquired as to what was unusual about my mother. I believe that's when she realized she made a mistake with what she said. She said she didn't intend it that way and just realized it would be uncomfortable and strange since her parents don't appreciate things like that. Then I inquired as to whether she would be experiencing similar feelings, and she didn't say anything at any point. We chatted for a long, and she didn't seem to get how much it would pain my mothers if I asked them to keep their identities hidden. Then it came to the point where she stated that it would also be humiliating for her parents to find out that she had 2 mothers. And yes, I wasn't going to take it any longer and informed her we were done. I'm not going to be with anybody who is ashamed by my mother or who doesn't want people to know about her. That was the end of it. Despite the fact that my pals haven't said anything to me yet, they believe I'll just shut them out since I don't want to deal with their. Though I said in my comments that I was considering approaching my mums for advice, I'm not going to tell them why we've broken up since we're no longer together. Just telling my mothers that it wasn't working out with her was enough to conclude our relationship. They don't have to explain why since I don't want them to feel like it's their fault, and they were very like my girlfriend at the time. The fact that she was feeling this way would be hurtful to their sentiments. Although this is not my first breakup, it is still really painful and I am depressed. However, things are as they are. Thank you everyone for your assistance and for sharing your own personal experiences with me. Story 2. Ada for stopping my roommate from being able to adopt a cat. My roommate, who is a vegan, expressed an interest in adopting a cat. She had purchased almost everything she needed, and I had no objections to this. Why can't she have a cat like I do? I have a dog, so why can't she? Then there was a request for cat food. It was a product from a company named Vegan Pet. She had intended to give the cat vegan dry food, but she had changed her mind. I informed her that cats cannot consume a vegan diet since they are carnivores, and that doing so might result in health problems. Not to mention the fact that a diet consisting primarily of dry cat food might result in kidney stones and dehydration. However, my roommate did not budge on this point, and in the end said that if it is created for cats, it is okay for cats. As a result, I eventually decide to abandon the topic and we arrive at the refuge. My roommate is unable to drive, so I serve as chauffeur, and since we share a residence, we decided it would be beneficial for us to examine the kitties jointly. The shelter woman asked us a slew of questions, such as whether or not we had other pets, what our home looked like, whether or not we had a catio or other secure outside place where the cat couldn't escape, and then she moved on to nutrition. She wants to know about the food we'll be feeding the animals, as well as the care we'll be providing the veterinarian. My RM tells me that she would rather be feeding the hills than Vegampet, which is a lie. To be honest, I was taken aback. I wait until my RM is distracted before informing the shelter worker that Vegampet, rather than Hills, would be feeding her family. This, I believe, is what caused the shelter to reject my roommate's application for the cat in the first place. As soon as I informed my RM the truth, she shut the door to her room and locked the door. That's exactly what she did. While I was there, my dog was neutered as well. Thank you so much for telling me to neuter him. He'd been at home for a day at this point. I'm keeping my dog away from him since my kitty is still in poor health, but he's eating well and growing. He really enjoys raw food, but I'm not sure whether I'll keep him on DIY raw for the foreseeable future and instead get him some prefabricated raw from the pet store or switch to wet food. We'll see what happens. RM has decided to go. She claims she is unable to forgive me, and I believe she is distraught at the prospect of having to surrender the cat to me. As a result, she will most likely be absent next week. Aside from that, my new kitten's name is Leo. Since then, she hasn't said anything to me. I was advised by a mutual acquaintance that I had overstepped my bounds and should have remained out of the situation altogether. I'm not sure. AITA. Update 1. It is around 7:30 p.m. despite the fact that my RM ended work at 4. She did not come home. This is rare for her, so I figured she had something to do, maybe shop for something special. She was given a cat. I inquired as to where it came from. She said she purchased it from a person she met on Gumtree, similar to Craigslist. So we now have a rag doll on our hands. AITA. I'll feed the cat on a different occasion. As long as I keep feeding my dog raw food, his freezer, which my RM never uses, will remain in the garage, making it simple to simply buy more meat after formulating a diet plan suitable for cats and feeding my cat at the same time as my dog. If I do not keep feeding my dog raw food, I will have to rely on my RM to buy extra meat. AITA. I'll limit myself to answering a few queries in this section. She is taking Activax and will only need little veterinary attention. But the cat will get the necessary veterinary treatment since she wants to be holistic and natural. I'm not going to back down from that position. I'll take her to the veterinarian the following day. I'll have my veterinarian, who is a strong supporter of raw food, talk some sense into her. If it doesn't work, I'll have my veterinarian file a complaint against her. I believe the RSPCA will pay more attention to the veterinarian than I would. As a dog groomer, I have to deal with the local animal control on a regular basis. Please don't put too much stock in their abilities. They aren't bothered by anything as long as the animal is fed. They would only intervene if the cat was in imminent danger and there was a good probability that the animal would be dumped on me. I'm hoping that's the case. Please refrain from disparaging vegans. There are a lot of individuals in this thread that are excellent pet owners, so take use of that. My roommate is a complete and utter jerk. There is absolutely nothing I can do if my roommate decides to leave. I'll do all in my power to care for the cat while it's in my custody, but there's nothing more I can do for it. I do intend to keep my identity a secret. My RM will be aware that I am providing food for her cat. Apparently, bladder stones and urinary tract infections, UTIs, are the problem, not kidney stones. I'm not a cat, I assure you. Update 2. First and foremost, I went to the veterinarian with my roommate and the cat on Monday, as you all recommended. The poor kitten was very underweight, coated with fleas, and in bad health. My veterinarian determined that he was suffering from an illness and was in a very terrible situation. As a result, he was in the veterinarian's office until Wednesday. Even though the doctor explained to my RM what a cat's proper food should consist of, I could see she wasn't paying attention. After the first vet appointment, we were given an estimate of the price, which was around $1,500 Australian dollars. My RM was unable to pay it and made the remark that it was the same amount as the cat had cost her to purchase. So I told her that she could give me the cat and that I would cover the costs. That's exactly what she did. While I was there, my dog was neutered as well. Thank you so much for telling me to neuter him. He'd been at home for a day at this point. I'm keeping my dog away from him since my kitty is still in poor health, but he's eating well and growing. He really enjoys raw food, but I'm not sure whether I'll keep him on DIY raw for the foreseeable future and instead get him some prefabricated raw from the pet store or switch to wet food. We'll see what happens. RM has decided to go. She claims she is unable to forgive me, and I believe she is distraught at the prospect of having to surrender the cat to me. As a result, she will most likely be absent next week. Aside from that, my new kitten's name is Leo. AITA. Yes, She spent over $1,000 for a DSH. She was led to believe he was a purebred ragdoll, but he is clearly not. Ike, despite the fact that he is so adorable and I adore him. AITA. My veterinarian is aware of what I feed my animals. He has assisted me in developing a nutrition plan. Because I'm not confident in my ability to correctly design an appropriate diet for a growing kitten the way I'm confident in my ability to properly formulate a decent diet for pups, I will be switching him to wet food until he is healthier and stronger. Then we'll give it another go. Then I should be more educated about what I need to accomplish, and I will have more time to construct spreadsheets and check up ingredient sources, which will be really helpful. Unfortunately, it is a time-consuming procedure, but it is also enjoyable. Not to fear, this cat will not be given a half-hearted meal.